There's a strange new sensation in my mind.
What?
Vice's voice rose in a quizzical way. What is happening?
It is not quizzical.
What's
Oh,
going
what?
on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his
Perhaps we
eyes.
should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard
Wait, what?
something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at Heza and Vice.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your
What?
dream?
The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the forest of myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the Death Dream was spread from person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Jesus. Vice stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly.
Now see here. Are you saying
He
that
said.
you've been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes.
Said the
I
mayor.
think you have.
In other words,
Said
we've
Heza.
caught the death dream?
Before the mayor could confirm Heather's suspicions, Vice exploded with rage.
Heathers.
Preposterous. Completely
What?
unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the death dream works.
What?
Though polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's
My
remarks.
remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth into an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject who Heza had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must
Nothing.
have caused you to enter my dream. A certain
Said the mayor.
conversation, a specific word, something.
Heza and Vice racked their brain, but could find no easy solutions. They were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too many meaningless conversations.
While Vice does not engage in meaningless conversations.
The mere suggestion that Vice chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride.
It does not
Okay.
seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
Yeah,
It has
well,
demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Vice looked skyward as if searching for answers in the
I
heavens.
was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to Heza like a contagion. Contagion. Wait, said Heza suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Vice aside in the process. He must have said something right, asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words? What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams. Or, oh, what the hell was it? A sheep! Vice suddenly cried, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head.
what?
The others stared at
Wait,
him for a
what?
moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few more minutes of thought, Heza's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said those who dream. That's what he said, I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding his approval at Heza. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across the lone piece of paper. For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we call Death Dream, he said. Jesus Christ, Chris. Oh.
What? Sorry, I was opening the biscuits while you were narrating. Come on.
I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along. But I never
Yeah.
expected a couple of our other outsiders to start entering people's dreams.
My biscuit fell on the tea.
Oh, me biscuits in me brew.
It's fucking dead, like.
Grab a spoon.
I already have a spoon,
Yeah,
but it's
I
dead.
The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Vice immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said, but perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream, I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the colour out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. Heza nodded in agreement. Huh. Wait a second. I didn't nod. Look, if we can be of any help, said Heza, just ask. Now hold on. I did not just say that. Silence, cried Weiss. The grimoire looked from Heza to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Weiss's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now see here, Mayor, you told us that nothing can exist in this room without your knowing of it. But yet you seemed surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my god, he said. You're right, I had no idea that you were coming. The human imagination is a limitless engine, said Weiss. And dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. Within your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We are as eager as you to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called at the departing forms of Heza and Weiss. We're all counting on you. As Heza slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck with a sense of déjà vu. I saw this man once before, he thought, but where? Heza's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more of the forest closed in around them. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd be forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched.
Fucking trees is it?
Fucking razor trees.
Razor fucking...
It's made out of blades. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor travelling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, he spent most of his time urging Heza to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, Heza snapped. Okay, Weiss, cram it for a second, would you? You don't have to walk. Heza leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can this stupid forest be so big, he muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared out at a volume that rattled his teeth. Heza slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Weiss, what's going on? Heza could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed. The forest howled. And then, just as Heza's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the wood. Street, street, street. The fuck is that supposed to be? As the insect symphony dimmed another decibel, Heza began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise, it's something else. Yellow. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 with it is lacking. 2 with it is ideal. 3 with it is dangerous. What is it?
What?
By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's like it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it is lacking. 2 with it is ideal. 3 with it is dangerous. What is it?
A brain.
The answer is a secret. The answer is a seesaw. How should I know?
I mean,
A seesaw. Or a secret?
one with it is not lacking though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it'll still be a secret.
Yeah. Because, like,
Yeah, don't worry about the void.
inwardly furious that Vice left the task to him, has aside and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret. Right? The sound of the insects stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before Heza like a rippling wave, opening a new path. These forest arthropods are making a road for us, said Vice with glee. Pleased at passing the test, Heza moved on with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had a purpose. I guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said Heza after a bit. Vice spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Vice finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling.
Is this entire bit just gonna be all words? Like?
Probably. Smiling, Heza picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Vice. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I enter through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I?
The sunlight.
Oh, okay, yes.
Wait, what did you?
I thought it
think
was
wrong?
moon,
The moon?
because it's a red night.
Vanish at night?
Shut up. Absurdly easy, barked Vice. No answer.
No, answer it.
Heza grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all. This one is pretty easy. I enter through the window but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? A letter.
At some point, you'll just fucking have like plug in your keyboard to the PS4. It's like, fuck.
Type out your answer. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Vice softly, I've never seen such a light.
Sight.
Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey look, cried Heza, awaking Vice from his daze. There's a house or something over there.
There's a house or some bollocks over there.
Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Vice saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Vice? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? Heza walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began Heza, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held a hand up and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Heza tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Vice, it seems we must answer his riddle.
Wow.
Yeah, I suppose, said Heza. Well, at least it's an easy one. I have 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I?
A
Man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Correct.
Wow.
With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. A flasher! You're the mayor, cried Heza.
I was literally about to call him Penis McGee.
The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry? What's that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the Death Dream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As Heza watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. Yes. When Heza and Vice turned to return to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the Jew, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it! You actually made it back! He left his left hand grasped Heather's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Vice by the cover and swung him through the air. Just-
Like, what? What's actually happening here?
God, by the heavens, stop shaking me, fool. We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Heza withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the Death Dream's seal, he said. At least, I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as Heza filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the three of them laid down on the forest ground and fell asleep. Heza cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. Heza and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten? Continued Vice. It is words that control the Death Dream. Words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breath slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor. The first time I've felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, leaves greener. It was clear that they had awakened from their dream. Heza shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh wow, said the mayor in an odd voice.
Wow.
We did it. I'm back. He blinked once, and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The Death Dream was spreading through our village, and I wanted to, well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at Heza and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor as a wry smile crossed his lips. You shall relearn in short order, I am sure, said Vice. For now, you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the Death Dream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained, when the prayer was finished. It's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Vice. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend said that our tree is home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse. Heza and Vice could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Vice, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the three of them said their goodbyes, Heza mentioned a strange man who had given them a third riddle and the mysterious words he had left them with. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does that mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is going to sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you two before.
Seen you before too.
Shut up. Heza tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the Death Dream. It probably doesn't mean anything. Heza gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. And what exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
I mean,
thank
you're
you
still
so much.
you're still in the words thing.
Yes.
Now I can finally return to a normal life.